Okay, we're live. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited to have you all here today to talk to our super special, amazing guests. We are talking today live with the Global Black Girl. She's coming to us live from Costa Rica. We're going to talk about Costa Rica as an expat destination for Black women or for Black people. What is Costa Rica like for Black expats? Like, do they really like Black people in Costa Rica? Easy or hard is it to move? And why, in particular, did the global Black girl and her family decide on Costa Rica as their
So
home?
excited.
We're excited. Welcome. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself to us very briefly?
Sure. So I'm a native of Los Angeles, California. My name is Marina. I'm a mom, a wife, of small business owner, a spiritualist, which a lot of people on Instagram know me more for that because for me, the process of relocation is a spiritual one. And so,
Mhm.
in my guidance to other people who are considering that process, we definitely pay attention to where they're guided by their intuition, by God, by their ancestors, right?
Yes.
So I've lived in Brazil. I lived in Brazil for 5 years when I was in my
Mhm.
early 20s when my kids were teeny tiny. I lived in Uruguay for about a year, and I've been in Costa Rica now for almost three.
Wonderful. All right. So I I'd like to jump things off with talking about what first before we talk about why you chose Costa Rica. Like what is going on? What are you doing in Costa Rica? What are you building and
So much.
creating?
So as of today, we are, including my family, about 17 people that within less than a year, I've assisted to move here. We all live relatively close to each other, like within 5 minutes. We have get-togethers, sometimes two, three times a month. Everybody has everyone's number. There's children here. There's single mothers here. There's single professional women here, and we have a community. The thought and the idea eventually is to find places in different countries where we
Yes.
have these enclaves of primarily Black women, for the exact purpose of building community, having strongholds, knowing that we are here for for the betterment and the protection of each other.
Mhm.
That's the
Yes.
point. So if we come together on purpose and we build our communities either physically on one solid piece of land, same building, or just within the general community, if your car doesn't start, you don't have to try to find someone to help you because we're neighbors. We have a very socially intentional
Mhm.
relationship. It's one thing. I mean, I grew up in LA in Ladera Heights View Park, so it's predominantly Black. So you see other people that look like you, but it's not the same meaningful social relationship. Our relationship with each other is very intentional, specifically for support of other Black women and for a sense of comfort and security. And I am Black woman focused. If
Yes.
there's men that come, great, but they're not my focus.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yeah.
also do retreats,
Okay.
also, which I just had my first one in April, and it went
Oh.
amazing.
Oh, congratulations. Okay. We're
Thank
going to talk
you.
about that as well. Okay. I wrote that down so we don't forget. So don't worry, y'all. We're going to talk about
Okay.
the retreats because I know you want to know when is the next one? How do I make sure I don't miss the next one? Okay. So I think it's super important. We are seeing a couple of different places pop up that are very Black women heavy. Like there are a lot of African American and Caribbean Black women who are moving to these places
Yes.
to form these kinds of
Yes.
communities. I love that this is
Yes.
happening around you, and that you're not. It's not happening. That you are creating this in Costa Rica. We talked on this channel. What I talked to Queen Michelle, who's doing is involved in a similar thing in Lake Chapala, Mexico. Yeah, there are places where we can go and feel safe and feel nurtured, create bonds and friendships. In our normal
Yes.
everyday life, it's hard to do
Yes.
in the
It
U.S.
requires intention.
Hmm.
Well, but here's the thing, right? Because, and not to get all off in the, woo woo, I can be a
Do
little
it.
woo woo. But the reality is, if you're at home, if you're in the US, if you're in the UK, if you're in Canada, we are brought up in a certain kind of culture,
Mhm.
especially in how we deal with each other,
Mhm.
right? So there's this feeling of competition, or that I can't
Mhm.
really trust you, or what are you trying to
Mhm.
do? When you move to another country and you know that there's other women there,
Mhm.
and you understand, because this is something that everyone that comes through me understands, because I discuss it with them, we have to think about what's best for everyone else. So if
Mhm.
someone's coming, if you're coming and you need somewhere to stay while you're looking for somewhere else to
Mhm.
move to permanently, but you just want to, or your internet's out because we all work online or
Yeah.
whatever, the expectation is that it's okay for us to call on each other. Of course, with respect for boundaries, but this is
Mhm.
really important to me.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that's done on purpose.
Mhm. So how did you choose Costa Rica as the place? What is okay?
So,
Okay.
so as I mentioned, I lived in Brazil for 5 years in
Mhm.
Bahia,
Okay.
which was an experience, and I loved it. I learned Portuguese. It was a wonderful experience. However, knowing what I envisioned for a community, or for being a point person, right, an energy
Mhm.
holder
Mhm.
for other women to come to, it was really
Mhm.
important that I pick somewhere that was safe. Safety is number 1 through 5
Yes.
in the reasons why I chose Costa Rica. It really
Mhm.
is. If there's 10 reasons, it's 50% of it.
Okay.
Safety in economic stability, safety in geopolitical safety. This country is the why am I drawing a blank? The name of the school. The UN selected this country to put its peace university.
Okay.
This is a neutral country. A lot of
Uh-huh.
people don't know that. So there's not, the risk of there being some coup out of the middle of nowhere, and now we're all stuck. Like this isn't that place. Also,
Right.
just like the culture and the way that people interact with each other, you don't see on the news, some random person that went to a school and shot it up. Like, it's not like that here.
Mhm.
People are more passive aggressive. That's not fun, but they
Okay.
are. They're not overtly aggressive. They're more passive aggressive. And I say this all the time. While anti-Black racism, because it's specific,
Mhm.
anti-Black racism exists everywhere, but it's not deadly everywhere.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And so I needed to be somewhere where I wasn't fearful for my life,
Mhm.
and
Costa.
where I knew that other women that didn't have families could come and could go and run their errands and go out at night and go have dinner and not worry. And the young
Mhm.
women that are here that are single, they're not worried about their safety.
Yes. We Americans, people from America get the messaging that other places are just so dangerous, right? They're just so
Yes.
dangerous, as if we were safe at home. It's
Yes.
like, wait, wait. If you look at the numbers, look at the data. We're not safe
Look at the
here.
data.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're not safe here. So pretty much, there are a lot of places in the world where you can go where you're going to be physically safer. Costa Rica, as you mentioned, is a peaceful country. They don't have military. Right.
No, they
So
don't.
if you want to be a resident of a country where you don't have to worry about them doing ridiculous things all over the world, committing humanitarian disasters and atrocities all over the world, that's another.
Abuses.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mattered a lot to me.
Hmm.
I wanted to be somewhere where energetically I was connected to nature. This country, and it's, it's a positive and a negative, because they're so committed to the preservation of nature here. A road that, if it went straight through, would take you 10 minutes to get where you're trying to go, it
Uh-huh.
takes 45 because they're driving you around.
Okay.
But it's because they're so committed. And here you feel incredibly connected to nature. Everywhere you go, it's green and luscious, and the air is clean, and they're not spraying overhead. And it's,
Hmm. Yeah.
if that's something that matters a lot to you, then this is definitely the place. Is
Yeah.
it the most entertaining? No. Let's be real.
Okay.
This isn't where you go for entertainment. It's kind of boring. It is. If you're looking
Okay.
for, I'm from a major city. I'm from
Right.
Los Angeles. A lot
Right.
of people reach out to me from New York, from other large cities. here your activity is nature. You go to the
Uh-huh.
beach, you go hiking, you go to the cloud forest, you know, you can go to the hot springs. Like it's a great place to staycation because there's so many beautiful locations here. We have the Caribbean beach on the other
Hmm.
side.
Hmm.
There is a nightlife, but not to
Okay.
any real. Yeah, it's like moving. I don't know,
You're
to the
like, it's like
out
if
to
you
the
lived in the
country,
country.
kind of.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You
kind of. Except it's developed.
I think you're not far from San Jose, so you're not far from. I think, right?
I'm so San Jose is the main
Yeah.
canton, or like the main city, and then
Uh-huh.
there's different areas within it. I
Okay.
live in Escazú.
Okay.
Escazú is the most developed. It's where all the money is. It's where all the
Uh-huh.
banks are. It's where, you know, we got Outback Steakhouse and anything, huge malls, huge malls.
Okay.
You know, so it's more developed. It's where a lot of the embassies are, things like that. Excuse me, my allergies are crazy.
No problem. Okay.
Um, so
I'm
where I
surprised to hear that
live, oh yeah,
because
where
I
I
thought you
live, it's
you have like don't you have like farm animals?
go. Yes.
Right.
But my allergies are still because it's the
Uh,
rainy season. And
mm,
so there's things that are blooming and my
okay.
allergies are just but they were horrible in LA.
Hmm.
I was
Hmm.
suffering terribly with asthma and
Hmm.
all kinds of other stuff. But now it's just a little early morning, you know,
Uh-huh.
nose
No,
clearing. But
I mean, I'm surprised to hear
yeah.
that you're in a. I'm surprised that you're in one of the more developed parts because I thought you were like out away from the developed
So,
parts.
one of the other beautiful things about this country, specifically about the area that we live in, I'm at about 4,000, 3,500, 4,000, 4,500. My husband's like, no, we're up higher. We're in the
Altitude.
mountains.
Okay.
But we drive straight down 5 minutes and there's stores. And then
Oh.
if I drive 10 minutes down the mountain, it's the whole city of Escazú. And Escazú has
Okay.
three parts to it. So anywhere in Escazú proper, you're going to find everything. I mean, everything. If I want to go to Starbucks, I can go to Starbucks. It's 7 minutes drive down the mountain. My roads are paved. I have sewer, not septic. So it depends on where you are in the country, and this applies to really any country that you're looking at moving to. Just a quick tip, I always look to see where all the money is, where are the centers of things, not
Okay.
the downtown, because downtowns everywhere pretty much are business, but not very nice to live. Where we
Right.
live, we have the feeling, because we're on 3 acres, we have the
Mhm.
feeling of it being remote, but I'm very close to all the conveniences. There's nothing that we want for. I mean, we can
Okay.
even get imports down the street.
Okay.
So yeah.
Good. Okay. So the perfect combination. You get enough
Oh
space to
yeah.
mind your business, and everyone else minds their business.
Yes.
And you can, get pre-made meals without having to, grind your own flour.
Yes.
Okay.
An amazing internet.
Oh,
And the power does, if the power goes out, it's only going to be out for 5 minutes, maybe 10, because they're
okay.
constantly working on it because we're in Escazú. I
Okay.
can't, that's not the case for like the
Hmm.
beach areas.
Right.
Okay. If the power goes
Hmm.
out, it's going to be out for a minute.
That's right.
Your internet's going to be out for a minute if you choose to live by the beaches or in some of the less developed, cheaper areas.
Okay.
So you do pay a premium for conveniences.
That's a great point because, like you said, you work on the internet, and the people who are the women who are moving down there still need to make money. They
Will
need
be
to work
too.
on the
Yes.
internet, and people
Yes.
overlook sometimes when they're picking a place. We overlook those things that we're going to need
Yes.
to be able to
Yes.
still run our businesses. You need reliable electricity. You need fast, inexpensive internet, which is why some parts of
Yes.
Africa are not going to be conducive to the expat life for people who still need to work. I saw your video. I didn't
Yeah.
move to Africa, and neither should you. And that was an important point that people aren't making. That
They're not. This is your life, right?
Mhm.
Like people like you and I, we do this work because we really honor and respect how big of a deal this is
Yes.
for people to move, and we're here to assist. It would be unfair if I didn't tell the truth about what I know.
That's
And
right.
this is what I know. So we can have the rose colored glasses. I mean, listen, if you're independently wealthy, you have a
Yes.
trust fund, you can go wherever you want.
Go. Uh-huh.
But if that's not the case, then you really need to be thinking about your long term success. And you want to successfully be able to leave. And you can do that if you plan it properly. If you don't,
You're
you'll
going
be
to
running home with your tail between your legs.
That's right. You're going to have to spend all that money getting back or getting to
Yes.
someplace new when you could have just
Yes.
gotten the right information to begin with. Speaking of getting the right information to begin with, Marina does coaching, international relocation coaching. So she's told us that she's lived in Peru, in Peru. I just made up a country. You lived in Brazil, Uruguay. That
Yes.
was Brazil plus Uruguay. Brazil, Uruguay, and now Costa Rica. And
Yeah.
she does coaching, which you can book through her website, theglobalblackgirl.com. I've linked to
Or
that
the
here.
Instagram book now. It's
Yeah.
probably better because my
Okay.
website's crap.
Okay. Let's go. Let me link to that. As a person who also has a terrible website, I understand, but people still, it still serves its purpose. So in her Instagram is
Yes.
at the global black girl. Don't forget the the. Okay, so you can
Yeah.
book time with her to get your relocation plan together. If
Yes.
if you want
Yes.
to go to Costa Rica, I mean definitely. But not only Costa Rica, right? Any international
Yeah.
destination that you need someone to help you
Yes.
with, holler at her.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
right now in the process of putting the seeds down for people who are interested in going to Puerto Vallarta.
Ah,
I'll be
ooh,
going there towards the end of the month. Next month, it'll be a back and forth thing. We'll be doing retreats there. We'll be doing retreats here. We're going to be, I'm looking at Belize. There's some people that are already talking about going that I'll be assisting.
oh,
So my thought is that if we have these communities, we have more places to
yes,
go and we'll have more options and there'll be positions and placements of power and security for
yes,
us.
yes. We need that because we are the ladies on this channel are pretty much already sold on the fact that our futures are probably not in the United States. But there is
Yes,
some fear about leaving the place of your where you have roots, where you have family, and then
of
going to a
course.
strange place and going to a place where you're not politically represented, where you're really just picking up and putting down, and the idea of not having roots in a new place is really scary to some women.
Yes.
So going to places
Yes.
where there is this enclave, I love that you call it an enclave. I don't know, that seems
Yes.
like we mean it, okay? When it's not
Yes.
commune,
No, this is real.
we mean this. Yeah, that can
Ah,
help. It's going to help a lot of Black women feel comfortable, feel safe going someplace else.
we
Okay.
need to because I didn't feel safe.
Mm-mm.
I left Los Angeles the first time with my two small children. Small. I want to say
Mm.
3 and a year and a half. They were little,
Oh.
little. I was 22, 23.
Mhm.
I didn't have much money. I didn't have, I was in my first marriage and it went the way that it went, but I did not feel safe. I said, I would rather the devil I don't know than the devil
Yeah,
I do.
that's
And
right.
that's ultimately what it comes down to. I saw your video. Are we in an abusive relationship with the US?
Mm.
And it's been something I've been saying for years because I left in 2003, 2000,
Ah,
no, 2006 and
okay.
I was gone and I came back to the States in 2010 and then left again. So
Wow.
I've been, leaving for a while and everyone thought that I was crazy. And I
Yeah.
said, the thing is, when someone or a place shows you who they are, you have to believe them. And
Hmm.
if you don't, ultimately it's on you,
Hmm.
right? I love myself and it's not a hit on anyone that doesn't feel this way, but
Yeah.
people that are in our space are oftentimes attacked. I don't know about you, but I definitely have been. I've been told that I was abandoning ship and then I didn't
Hmm.
care about my people and
Hmm.
all this stuff. And I said, I love me enough to save me. I
Yes.
love me
Yes.
enough to get out of that abusive relationship.
Yes.
Me getting out, me taking my children out is giving us a chance and an opportunity that I would not necessarily have if I stayed.
Mhm.
I study, and I'm not going to get too far on a tangent, but this means a lot to me. I've spent a lot of time working with immigrant groups when I lived in LA. I had a lot of Armenian clients. I was in the beauty industry. I had a lot of Armenian clients. I had clients from all over the world, Iran, and I would ask them, okay, so your family left, right? And here there's a lot of Venezuelans, and I asked them too,
Mhm.
how long after everything turned to shit did you decide to leave?
Mhm.
The ones that had the most money and were the most comfortable waited the latest. The ones that
Two.
had the least left to leave their countries to
Okay.
go and
Okay.
seek
Right.
asylum,
Right.
right? So the ones that left sooner were already set up and they were calm and they had their groups and they got work and they built businesses. The ones that had money left the latest and
Mm.
struggled the most.
Yes. Yeah. I think well, I don't know. We're kind of seeing two groups of Black women leave. We're
Yes.
seeing Black women who are comfortable, right? Who are comfortable in the U.S., but we're also seeing Black women who are like, look, there's nothing for me here. I know it can't be worse. It can't be worse anywhere else that I go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think with Black women, we're seeing both groups. I have like Rashida
Yes.
Dow, who is Sheeta's on the Loose, is a former attorney, and so she has a lot of like attorney followers and a lot of attorney, friends, and they're gone. So I think with Black women,
Gone.
we're kind of ahead of the game. We're ahead of the curve.
Yes, we are. Yes, we
Yeah.
are. Aren't we usually?
Yes, that's right. That's right. We know what's up.
We are. Yeah, we
Exactly.
do. We do. You listen to
Mhm.
Black women and you'll survive. You'll do
Mhm.
well and you'll thrive. If you don't
Mhm.
listen,
Yeah,
Rashida's
that's right.
great. I have several attorneys that are here in Costa Rica also.
Mhm. Yeah, so there it does look like there's two groups of women. That's why we talk so much about the money, because
Yes.
some people will say, of course they can go, right? They have the money. These people have, this group of people have the money. But then I was a pharmacy technician. I'm a house sitter. There are other ways to do things so that you can go and not let money
Yes,
be
let's
the
talk about
deciding
that.
factor. Let's talk money.
Yeah, because a lot of people, especially like I said, I left when I was 23 the
Hmm.
first time. I bought a house in Texas. I'm from LA. I bought a house in Texas. I didn't have a lot of money. Bought a house in Texas, sold it. I had like $30,000, $40,000.
Okay.
I didn't even have it all at once. It was like
Hmm.
broken up. I hustled. I sold real estate. I had an English school out of my apartment. Okay. I
Oh.
really hustled for those 5 years I was in Brazil. I didn't go with money. I don't come from money.
Hmm.
If I had, it would have been different.
Hmm.
This time, we sold a property in Los Angeles, bought a business, bought this house. I owner financed this home, actually.
Ah.
You can do anything that you decide that you want, especially outside of the States. There's a way to negotiate it.
Okay.
I wanted this home. I wanted this property. I negotiated it. This time I moved with my current husband, his two daughters, and one of my sons. I have two sons, but my oldest is 19 and he didn't want to leave. So he's still there. My
Oh.
16-year-old is here with me,
Okay.
and my bonus daughters. So we came this time, I want to say 120, 120, 130, but we bought a house and a business with that.
Right.
So I really made that money stretch.
Hmm.
And this home is still financed. We don't have a large mortgage on it, but we still have one. The business that we bought tanked almost
Hmm.
immediately.
Hmm.
We had to be on our feet. So if you don't have a lot of money, my guide for most people is if you're just a single person, if you have $1,500 to $2,000 a month
Hmm.
guaranteed, you can go most countries.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
right? If you
Absolutely.
want to buy property and live, because there's two ways to do it. Some of us have consistent income. Some of us have no income, but we have some money put
Cash.
away.
Hmm.
If you have $30,000, you have bought yourself enough time in most countries to figure it out.
Hmm.
Find yourself online work. It's a lot easier now than it was when I left the first time. And you
Right.
can always teach English in
Yes.
person or online,
Yes.
you know you came up with a way. If you're committed and you really want to do it, you're going to figure it out.
Hmm. That's
That much
right.
I know.
That's right.
But I would say if you have an income of 2,000, cool,
Yes.
pack your stuff. Save
Yes.
6 to 8 before you leave. 2,000 a month, you're good. If you
Okay.
don't have 2,000 a month, you have 24 to 30,000, you're good for a couple
Yes.
of years and you should
Yes.
be able to figure something out in that amount of time.
All right. So these are the answers. Okay. These are the answers to the questions that have been running around in your head. Like, can I actually make this work for me? So Browntown says, what did you need to buy your home in Costa Rica? You're definitely not citizens of Costa Rica.
No, no.
So how did the home
This I'll
purchasing
break
go?
down that system.
Okay.
They do not have a credit system the same way that we do in the States.
Hmm.
No one cares what your credit score is because it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm,
No one knows and no one cares.
mm-mm.
They do have their own type of credit system, but it applies to residents and citizens only.
Okay.
Everyone who has an income has access to credit in this country until they mess it up.
Okay.
So that's great, but then it's not. But
Ah,
that's another conversation.
okay.
So being that I'm not a resident and I'm not a citizen, I knew that I had, my hundred and whatever thousand,
Hmm.
and I started shopping for houses. I shop for what I want. I don't believe that I have to limit my desire for anything based on what it is that I'm experiencing now, because
Right.
I know that I can manifest beyond what I'm experiencing in the moment.
Right.
So I looked at a house that was like 10 times the amount of money that I had
Okay.
because I said, you know what? You never know.
You never know.
I had to go through 4 or 5 different real estate agents because there is no real estate governing body here. So, really, anyone can be a real estate agent,
Ah,
something to keep in mind.
okay.
And they wedge themselves in all of your real estate transactions. That's how they get paid because there's no
Okay.
legal grounds for them to insist that you pay them. I had to go through several different real estate agents in order to get access to the owner. I put in my offer with 3 different real estate agents who didn't even want to give the man my offer because they thought it was too low.
Uh-huh.
So when I finally got to the owner and I told him what I was willing to pay, it was like half. And but I was insistent and I said, look, your property can sit on the market for several more years, or you can work with me. I'll give you this down money right now
Okay.
and you can finance me. And he agreed. And that's
Yes.
how I got my house and my property.
Ask. Yes. Okay.
Just ask
So
for what you want.
wonderful. So do you see most of the women who are coming down, your enclave, are they buying or are they renting when they get to Costa Rica?
Everybody's
Yes.
renting.
Okay.
Everybody's renting. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what are y'all doing with those goats? Are you making cheese? What's happening?
So we had, when I bought them, oh, I don't want to get all emotional because I'm a city
Oh.
girl. I never had
Uh-huh.
animals,
Mhm.
right? We bought like 30 chickens, they all got murdered. Then we bought some more and they all got murdered. Because
Oh,
chickens
animals.
and yeah, they're an animal that other animals like to eat. We
Yeah.
had this, we started out with this tiny little chicken coop. It wasn't enough. And then we like added onto it and we had people come and help. This has been a learning curve. We got the goats. We got a single girl. She was a few months old, and then a pregnant mom. And it's on my Instagram, this short video of me assisting them being born, which I had never done before. I put on some rubber gloves and helped her give birth. And then they got bigger and the boy got huge and the little girl got huge and then they got pregnant again and then we had more, and it's just been this journey of learning how to take care of animals. My husband actually slaughtered the boy for his birthday.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
Capricorn and we decided to have a goat roast.
Yes.
That my children had never done anything like that before. They were holding him, and mind you, we've raised him
You raised
since he
him,
was a
yeah.
baby,
Yeah.
so it was kind of, but
Welcome to farm
it
life.
teaches you about the cycle of life, and it
Hmm.
teaches you about how to do what you have to do when you have to do it.
Yes.
So it was a hard lesson, but they learned
Hmm.
it. So it's been an amazing learning curve, but so far I am the only one that's purchased. It is
Okay.
a big commitment. When I
Hmm.
moved to Brazil, I didn't buy, and for me, I find that I'm more committed when I know that I have to stay in a
Right.
place.
Right.
So for me and the size of my family, it made sense to buy.
Mhm.
But it doesn't suit everyone. It is very particular.
Okay. When you left the first time with your family when you were 23, did you see yourself being a farm girl? Like, was this the goal? Was this something that you always knew was going to be your future, or?
You know, when I moved the first time, my purpose and my original desire was to create a city. The rules in Brazil allow for you to be considered legally your own town after you've reached a certain amount of people. This is what I've been on since I was a teenager. So
Wow.
I did
Okay.
a lot of research and it was always my plan to
Okay.
build a community, right? I thought about animals and the rest of it, but I was like, somebody else is going to do that because I don't know anything about that. Right? Like, it wasn't something that I ever really expected to be directly involved with. I know the idea of having your own, farm, it requires you to be, if you want to be self-sufficient anyway, which is a different conversation, but I've always wanted to have the option, if need be self-reliant.
Okay. Okay.
And so animals and having a garden and things like that just go with it.
Go with that.
But
Okay.
but no, the farming part, no, but the community part, yes, always.
Okay. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm glad to see that you had and have had for a long time a clear vision. I kind of fell into things. So I'm excited to see that you have a vision of what the future is. You have a vision of this city, of this community, and that it's already coming to fruition, that you're already creating it.
Yeah, which is
Hmm.
like,
How does that
you
feel?
know, it feels amazing.
Yeah.
It feels surreal,
Yeah.
because I don't, when you come from wherever it is that you come from, it's not something that you see women like us
Hmm.
as the face of. It's not even something that we feel comfortable discussing, really. When
Right.
we talk about community building as it being something that you can actually do partnered or not,
Hmm.
it wasn't even though it was what I wanted, actually experiencing it, going to the airport, picking people up, taking them to the house that I found for them, us getting together and meeting each other, and the hugs and the conversation
Hmm.
and the camaraderie and the sisterhood.
Yeah.
It's not something that I'd ever experienced. So even
Yeah.
though I could dream it because I hadn't experienced it, I didn't know how it was going to feel. And
Mm.
it's giving me more encouragement to share with anyone. You literally, and I know it sounds corny, but you can build it if you can imagine it. If you can
Yeah.
dream it, you can build it. And there's other people that think the same way that you do,
That's right.
and your voice is for them.
Yes.
It's not for the ones that don't see it, it's for
That's
the
right.
ones that do.
That's right. And it's not our job to convince the people. It's not your job to convince people that this is the way to go. Some of the
That's
biggest
right.
naysayers when you leave, right? I would guess some of the people who were the biggest naysayers when you left are now like, can I book some
Oh, we
time
have
with
to
you?
visit.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, yeah, yeah. That happens when you're early, right? When you're when you're one of the early adopters or one of the creators. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah. Always.
yeah, yeah. So I've linked a couple of times to where you can go to book some time. Okay, on Instagram, Marina is the global black girl. The
Book now
global
button.
black girl. Book your time. Book your time. I saw a couple questions about like rent. So I know that in Ghana, pretty much you have. So there are a lot of people telling black women to go to Ghana, right? We got to repatriate. I know that in Ghana, you for the most part are paying your rent a year or 2 years in advance, right? There's no such thing as I paid first and
Which
last
I would
month's rent.
never do.
Never ever. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. So Costa Rica, are we talking about paying 2 years in advance rent when we get there? Are we talking about?
No.
Mm.
No. Costa Rica, you do your first and last, like normal, and you pay your rent every month,
Uh-huh.
like normal. And if something breaks or something's not working, you can withhold your rent. Actually, secret, they don't want us to know this. Costa Rica is incredibly renter favorable.
Okay.
So if something was really bad and for some reason you couldn't pay your rent, they actually would have a hard time getting you out,
Okay.
actually. So if you have an
Okay.
issue of any kind with your landlord, it is very, very easy to get them to move quickly to fix things
Okay.
because they don't want those kind of problems. And they prefer us more often than not because they know that we will actually leave when we
Yeah.
stop paying,
Yeah.
whereas a lot of the
A
locals know
local. Yeah.
better and they'll just camp out. So yeah,
Yeah, let's rent to the Americans who don't know the rules. Yes, that's funny. All right, so ladies in the chat have now named your new city Baru because I called.
I love it.
So you now have your city is called Baru. There's an official song. So in the chat, once we're done with this, if you want to go back and look at the chat, so
Oh,
there are
I
rules.
will.
Yes,
I
you can
live
show
for
us.
the chats. I live for chat. I'm gonna look at Baru. I like that. I like that. Baru, Costa Rica, and Baru, Mexico,
Baru,
because
Mexico.
Spirit is guiding me to do something similar in Puerto Vallarta,
Good,
and
good.
and any other place that I am led to do. So
Good. Yeah, a lot of us, as you know, are super all in on Mexico because it's just a total package. I'm sorry, I'm house sitting. The dogs do not like
it's
the
okay.
mailman. He
It's
comes
okay.
every day. Like, really, you know this man. So, but I don't know how to mute and whatever. It's okay.
It's
So,
okay. I'm not bothered. I'm
okay.
blowing my nose. Your dogs are barking. It's fine.
This is a real conversation. So,
Yes.
now I'm sorry, I lost entirely what I was going to say anyway. Uh, oh, Puerto
You were
Vallarta.
saying Mexico's
Yeah.
the whole package.
A total package because nonstop flights back into the U.S. It's just so easy for people who still have some sort of obligation, still have family back in the U.S.
Yes.
or still own a property
Yeah.
back in the U.S. or whatever.
Yeah.
Mexico is a wonderful option, but today we're talking Costa Rica. Okay, so
Yes.
but I'm excited that you're doing both. Go away, please. Go away. Hi, go away. So I'm excited that you're doing looking into or not looking into moving into Puerto Vallarta as well. So do you have a
Yep.
retreat to announce? Is there somewhere we can get on a wait
Um,
list?
I'm in the yes, I'm gonna open up the wait list on my Instagram and by
Okay.
email. So my email is the global black girl at Gmail. It's all the global black girl. You can find me. It's the easiest way to find me. But I will be opening up a wait list. Just a real quick kind of overview of the retreat. It was in April. We had a beachfront exclusive. I only do exclusive, meaning that it's only us on the
Yes.
property. Okay,
Same. Yes.
because I don't want random drunk people. Oh, what are you doing? And oh, your hair
Hmm.
is pretty. You know the stuff we
That's
go
right.
through.
Yes.
My retreats are exclusive. They are private properties. We don't have any of that. It was 17 of us. It was absolutely amazing. It was my
Okay.
first retreat. We had an amazing turnout. I try to keep it between, 20, maybe 20 to 25. I wanted to start out with it being small.
Hmm.
It was a spiritual awakening. It really was. We were together and
Hmm.
we were under the full moon and we set our intentions and we talked about our dreams and our hopes together. It was educational. We talked about nutrition. We talked about spiritual development. We talked about what we want for ourselves, our emotional and mental health,
Yes.
and how to manage it better
Yes.
and to create the space in our own minds for understanding that we are not limited by what we've been told about ourselves. We are our own definition of our own beauty, right? So it's
Yes.
very much so the focus is all things us for us
Mhm.
because
Good.
we are our only allies. I
Yes.
genuinely feel that way.
I do too. Yes.
So my retreat it went amazing. So I will be opening up my wait list, and if we get enough of a turnout, then I'll add another week.
Okay.
So I want to make sure that I can meet people and there's enough room.
Hmm.
So it's planned to be one here in Costa Rica, March, and then one we'll have in Mexico around September. That's
All
the
right.
plan for next year.
All right. So email theglobalblackgirl at
Yep.
gmail.com, right? And ask her to please
Retreat.
add you to retreat, the subject line
Yes.
retreat. Ask her to add you
Yes.
to the retreat email list so that when it's time, you get those emails. You don't miss them. Okay. Don't rely on
Yes.
Instagram notifications or whatever to get your spot in this
Yeah.
retreat because we didn't talk about this, but you are, or we need to move into talking about this. You are a tarot reader and like a, I don't know the words, I'm sorry, but like a
It's
spiritual
okay. I'm a
practitioner.
spiritualist. So my background is in the church. My father was a minister my whole life, but I always had certain gifts. I'm a claircognizant. Claircognizance know things. We don't hear voices. We just know things, right?
Okay.
And I found myself with the tarot deck. A lot of people are like, "How'd you get a tarot?" Someone just bought it for me on a whim,
Okay.
and I didn't touch it for a year or two, and I got it, and it was like it was smooth and quick. I do like to let people know, as a spiritualist, I am also a follower of Ifa. It's a traditional African religion. It's spelled IFA, Ifa, Santeria, Condomblé. They all come from Ifa.
Okay.
Okay, Ifa is the root. It even affects and has influenced hoodoo as well and voodoo. But I follow Ifa now. The thing is, though, because some of us get really uncomfortable, which I
Hmm.
understand because I used
Yes.
to.
Uh-huh.
The thing is, whenever you are starting a spiritual practice, a non traditional spiritual practice, the first thing you want to do is deal with your ancestors. Okay.
Mm.
You taking care of venerating, as it's called,
Okay.
isn't a religious thing. Okay. All of us have ancestors. Their blood
Hmm.
is running through us right now.
Yes.
And they're with us, whether or not we're aware of them or not. They're with us. They guide
Mm.
us. They help keep us safe. If you've ever made a left turn when you were going to make a right because something told you, don't make that turn, that was your ancestors in your ear. They're here and they want to see us thrive and they want to see us do better. So if you are very firmly planted in whatever your religious comfortable place is,
Hmm.
you can still start by communicating with your ancestors. You venerate them like other cultures do. Most Asian communities have some form of veneration. You go to the
Yes.
nail shop, you see it. You don't leave the nail shop because they have an altar.
That's right. Altars everywhere in Asia. That's right. That's
Altars
right.
everywhere,
Hmm.
right? So it doesn't bother us when it's other people, but we've been cut off from this.
Yes.
It was a part of our culture to
Hmm.
venerate our
Hmm.
ancestors. And so as we venerate and uplift them, it actually helps us. They make ways for your money to improve. They create opportunities for you. They will strengthen your physical body. They will help you with your health because you are taking care of yourself when you take care of them.
Mm.
So I'm very, very passionate about this and shadow work. I have a Patreon where I talk about all my spiritual stuff.
Yes.
I'm very passionate about this. Thank you for asking me.
Mhm.
They're connected. If you're feeling drawn to change the life that you currently have, that is a spiritual experience.
Yes. Yes.
When you say, I'm ready to make a decision outside of what I've been told I can do,
Hmm.
you're having your own spiritual awakening.
Yes.
So, in that spiritual awakening, having guidance and having other people to support and affirm your right to create a different life is really important. So, that is part of my work.
Yes. So you're right that we are told, I'm sorry, I'm trying to mute, I tried to mute myself and all I did was switch things around on
It's
the
okay.
screen. It's so ridiculous.
It's okay.
Truffles, please go away. Truffles, go somewhere else.
Truffles. Oh, that's so cute.
She's adorable, but they just are rowdy right now. Okay. So, so yes, we in America, we were told that these things had to be, were not told. These things were totally stripped away from us. A lot
Yes.
of us are moving back towards these practices. Um,
Yes.
and has Costa Rica nurtured that in you? Or because Costa Rica has
Whew.
like a, okay, I'm asking good questions.
No, you really are. I told you I trusted you. I told you. I was like, I'm just going to trust you. This conversation is going to go where it needs to. So I did a Vipassana retreat. It's a 10-day silent retreat. I did that in LA before I left. It changed my life.
Hmm.
It really did. It changed my life. Vipassana, Vipassana, and they're free. You apply for it. If you get accepted, you go for 10 days. You're in silence. You meditate 13 hours a day. Absolutely life changing.
Okay.
So that's kind of where things started for me. Even though I had been floating around, not really sure, what I wanted to engage with. I just knew that the church wasn't for me anymore. So I got very much so anchored when I did my Vipassana. And then I moved to Costa Rica. Being in nature, I'm on a mountain. I'm listening to the birds. I'm looking at the sky. I'm looking at the mountains. The energetic connection that you can have when you're surrounded by nature, it's unlike anything else. And so my meditations got deeper. My relationship with my ancestors got deeper. I was moving at a slower pace. I was able to really hear. I was able to really listen. And my practice blew up. So the business that I bought and the corporate job that I had disappeared, and spirit was like, you need to talk about relocation, and you need to tell people about spirit, and you need to like pull tarot cards for folks. I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. But that's what they wanted for me. That's what my path was. And it took having those things that made me feel safe to be removed for me to finally go with and trust spirit. And I've
Yes.
been doing better. Honestly, it was a better move for me all across the board, health wise, spiritually, financially, to do this. And so now this is the work that I do full time.
Wonderful. All of this can be booked through the link that I'm going to give you one more time. Okay. So because there's a link tree on Instagram. There's a link tree, so
Yes,
you'll
I
see
have
a
a
link
link tree.
if you want to talk tarot and you call it the knowledge of self. If you want to book that kind of
Yes.
session, if you want to book an
Or just
international
relocation or
relocation
both.
session, all of
Yeah.
that, you can do that on Instagram at the Global Black Girl. Thank you so much for
Yes.
these super chats. Larissa says, thank you, ladies, for sharing the love. Good morning from Cali. Good morning, Larissa.
Oh,
Profess LCH says, hope my cousin who is moving to Costa Rica for good this year
hey.
connects with your enclave. Okay, I'm sending her this video. Do that. Do
Yes,
that.
please.
Good. Good. And Sharice, I sent you an email this morning to reschedule. I sent you the link so that you can pick a new time. I did get that. Thank you. All right. So that's that. All right. So super chat, you know that we share the super chat with our guests, or super chat is going to our guests this morning. So thank you, friends, for that. We
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. We appreciate time. We appreciate your time and your knowledge and your information. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Okay. So Sharice. Okay. So I asked if we want to talk some family talk. Anytime we talk
Sure.
about moving to another country, we have to talk about family talk. So let's do that. So Sharice's super chat
Let's
comes
let's
right on
do it.
time. My concern. Okay. So Sharice is actually okay. My concern is leaving my adult son here in America. He's autistic and lives in a residence that takes care of adults with special needs. So Sharice, um, if you're looking for I think that your first concern would be going to a place where you can get back quickly and easily. How easy is
Let's
it for
talk
you to?
about that.
Yeah.
So, I actually worked in special day classes for high school and for adults through my 20s, well, my teens and early 20s before I left. So I
Okay.
know exactly what she's talking about because I worked with a
Okay.
lot of parents who had adult children or high school age children. So if she's in LA, or well, really most places, Costa Rica has many, many, many airlines that do direct flights. It's a 5-hour direct flight from here to Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Also, this has to do very much so with her level of comfortability
Yeah.
because ultimately her decision to leave has to do with the type of lifestyle that she's wanting for herself. And I
Hmm.
understand that that could definitely complicate things. There are adult facilities here, but they're primarily for elderly persons.
Hmm.
If she wanted to have someone hire someone to come in her home to provide care for her son, would be an option. It may not be the easiest thing to do, but it can be done. It can be done.
Okay.
So that would be something that I would probably talk to her in private to figure out what her budget was, stuff like that. But
Okay.
there's a lot of direct flights. This is an hour and a half flight from here to Florida.
Hmm.
So if she decided to move him to Texas, which is a 2-hour flight, or to Florida, so that her access would be even shorter, she could always do that. There's
Hmm.
definitely options. Segueing into just moving with children, My current family is a blended family.
Yeah.
And so it was my two bonus daughters who are 14 and 9, and then
Oh.
my 16-year-old. My 19-year-old son decided he didn't want to come.
Uh-huh.
So he's in Los Angeles with his grandparents, and I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I had to make a decision about my life and the lives of the children that I'm, now responsible for, and his younger brother, and the life that my husband and I wanted to have. And he's an adult now. He was 16 at the time, but he
Mhm.
was on his way. And
Yeah.
so I had to get to a place where I was comfortable on my path, and then I had to respect his rights to not want to continue on this path with me.
Yes.
And it can be very emotionally difficult for those of us that have older children, even adult children. And I counsel a lot of women that have adult children,
Mhm.
children in their 20s, and they're like, well, my son doesn't want to go, or my daughter. And I'm like, but they're adults,
Yes.
and so are you.
Mhm.
And if you give them somewhere to come, they'll come.
Mhm.
And if they don't, that's their right as well.
Mhm.
We have to try to be as balanced as we can. These are very sensitive and very personal decisions, but you do have the right, and you should not feel guilty about wanting to live differently.
That's right. That's right. I get the same reaction from, come on, guys. I get the same reaction from women, and they'll be like, oh, I love my kids, like feeling like they have to justify why they want to leave and go to another place because they have young adult children. Kids are in their 20s or
They're
even
adults.
when they're not young adults, even when they're in their 30s,
Yeah.
they're like, women feel
So
like they
speaking
have to
about
justify
the
why they
younger
want to go
children,
do their thing.
you have to come where I go.
Yes.
Period. you you'll have what you need. My children, they went to school. They went to a good school here. There's a lot of bilingual or English only schools here.
Mhm.
And then when the pandemic began, they started being schooled at home online.
Mhm.
The education quality and their ability to manage it is it's ultimately their responsibility to go on and do what they need to, right? So I am very much so an active present mother, but I also very much so have spent a lot of time, because I was a single mom at 19, and
Mhm.
so I didn't want to fall into the trap of living my entire life for my children, through my children, because of my children.
Mhm.
And I also didn't want them to feel like they had to take care of me. I wanted a healthy parent child relationship with
Right.
reasonable boundaries. So this goes with it. As I am your parent and as I am responsible for you, I have to make sure that my spirit is fed, that I
Mhm.
am comfortable and happy, so I can be the best parent, the best provider for you. If I am floundering in, this concrete jungle, and I'm depressed, I'm not really going to show up for you the way that I need to.
Mhm.
So it can be very challenging, especially if you have teenage kids, because they have their friends and their all their
Mhm.
stuff. But ultimately, you are exposing them to the reality that they get to build their own reality as well. And that is a
Yes.
lesson that they may not be able to appreciate in the moment, but when they
Yes.
get older, they will.
Yes. So what is the daily life like for the kids? So we're talking 9, 14, and 16. Are they going to school? Are they schooled online? Are they
Oh,
unschooled?
only online. Yeah,
Okay.
they didn't even open the schools back here until like a
Ah,
month ago. And
okay.
frankly, you can have your child enrolled in an online program where they can still get a US high school diploma
Yes.
just the same. And oftentimes it's cheaper. The private schools here do also, most of them also offer American schedule and a US diploma. So you
Okay.
have those options.
All right.
There's wonderful preschools, there's daycare, all of that. So yeah, everybody's online. The oldest child here, my son,
Uh-huh.
he actually
Uh-huh.
got a modeling contract. So he
Oh.
like works with his agency. I know, just out of the blue. Instagram. I know.
Instagram,
Instagram
really?
is
Wow, Instagram
and
success
he has a
story.
very, very robust social life. I mean, this kid, he's not here right now because he's with his friend. Very robust social life. And because
Mhm.
it's so safe, we don't have the
Mhm.
fears about letting him
Yes.
go.
Yes.
So he goes to coffee shops and he goes have
Hmm.
lunch with his friends and we're having sushi
Hmm.
and da 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 da. And I
Hmm.
don't worry about it
Hmm.
at all because it's safe here. He's never
Hmm.
been harassed. Now there is passive racism,
Okay.
mind you, because there's also a lot of Americans and Europeans that live in this country
Right.
too.
Right.
But not saying that Costa Ricans can't be racist. They can. They definitely have bias and they will give you looks, but it's not very often.
Okay.
Truthfully, I have not experienced of note any charged uh, racist encounters with any Costa Ricans. I had one with an American,
Hmm.
two with
Yes.
Americans,
Yes.
of course.
Yes. Of course.
Um, but other than that,
Mhm.
it's been fine.
Good. So is it so? Okay, first let me acknowledge the super chats that are coming in. Thanks very, very much, friends, for those super chats. That's Rye, the Rye treat. This message is so affirming to me. I've been on a journey
Oh,
to embrace the form of spirituality that works for me. It's been so empowering. Thank you for that super chat.
yay!
I'm telling you, subscribe to the Global Black Girl anywhere that you can, right? On Instagram, on YouTube. Okay, this is what this she talks this talk all the time. This is not a
Yeah, it's my primary talk.
this is her
It's what
talk,
I talk
okay?
about the most.
Yes.
Yes,
Simona says another great talk. The message every week is that we have options. We have options, and we have the right to exercise our options. We don't have to
that's
stay.
right.
We don't have to stay in the place that we're in. That's right.
That's right. We don't.
And Salih Rashid, I'm not a female, but thank you for this info. I needed it. You're very welcome. You're welcome. And Pat Fuqua also. Thanks for that super chat, Pat. Oh, new one coming in. Sharon, thanks for the super chat. Sharing love and success to all of you. Thank you for this wonderful session. Stephanie, I've been watching you
Oh,
weekly. I appreciate all you do. Thanks, Sharon. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Listen, so I say a lot of times, I'm part of a movement. This is a movement. This is a
it
movement
is.
For Black
It
women to
is.
put their own peace of mind first.
And
I'm
it is,
glad
and
to.
it takes all voices. It takes
Yes.
all voices. It takes all angles. I think our community has been. It's small, right?
Mhm.
There's like a handful of
A
us,
handful,
but we're
yeah.
here, and I think our voices are geared towards who needs to hear it, right?
Mhm.
And so I really appreciate that you asked me to come and do this,
Uh-huh.
and you allow me to participate in this way. I really admire how consistent you are.
Yeah.
I'm a water sign, so I'm very much so led by how I feel. I'm a Scorpio. It's like if
Okay.
I feel it, then I'm if I don't, then then I can't. And your consistency really
Mhm.
helps a lot of people organize
Yes.
their minds as
Yes.
well. And so I just wanted to applaud you for that. And I'm so happy to see your growth. And it's
Thank
been
you.
amazing.
Thank you. I'm a Cancer. My birthday's July 5. Woo woo.
Ah!
So consistency doesn't come natural to me, but I do it because it's either one or the other. Either I am consistent or I don't ever do it. Right? So
Yeah.
I have to. I got to just put it on the calendar. This is when I'm going to do this thing. I can't. I'm not good at walking the middle ground. And my life was
Yes.
changed from someone putting info on the internet, right? Like my life was changed because someone said I
Yes.
saw a couple of different types of videos, the house sitting videos and the travel and move abroad on a budget videos. Changed everything
Yeah.
about my life. So I share it because somebody shared it with me. I'm glad to do it. I'm
Yes.
glad to have other Black women on my channel all summer long. I'm talking to other Black women creators who are
Yay.
helping Black women get free. Like it's just it's just
It's a
such an amazing.
movement.
It's a movement.
It is, and it takes
I
energy
agree.
and work and dedication and commitment. It really
Yeah.
does. And I don't, and it's this quiet storm of change.
Yeah.
It's this quiet storm, and it's beautiful because I
Mhm.
see more and more and more of us. I see more of us breaking out of our abusive relationships with our families, with our home country, with our
Our
men, with
jobs.
whatever. We're breaking free of it. And when
Hmm.
we heal us, we will heal our community. I really
Yes.
believe that.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about. So I've put in the dollar sign the global B is the
Yes.
Global Black Girl Cash App account. $ the global B. Okay, so that's so you
Yes.
can send the cash directly. Okay, you don't have to pass it through YouTube if you don't want to. All right, and then also if you go to her Instagram, you'll see her link tree with links. There's also a Venmo link. There's also
To
the
everything.
Patreon, the Patreon account.
Yes.
So there's
Yeah.
four. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So we've talked about the retreats. We've talked about your
Mhm.
farm and your enclave of women. We've talked your coaching
Yes.
services. We've talked moving with a family and moving with family members
Children.
back
Yep.
home. All
Yep.
right. We've talked about healing and spiritual, healing and spiritual benefits that you're getting from being in Costa Rica. Oh, I do know what I want to.
Yes.
One more thing I want to talk about is actually physically running your businesses from Costa Rica. So we hit on the idea that your internet is good and your electricity is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
can we
don't
talk a little bit
I
about the
only
actual?
provide services, so
Mhm.
it works out for me. I use appointee. So I'm a one woman show.
Yeah.
Okay. I use Appointee. I use all of their gadgets, their email updates, all of that stuff because it's
Okay.
just me. I'm
Okay.
able to set my calendar. The calendar that I use, it shows the local time of the person, and then on
Yes.
my side it shows my time.
Mhm.
So that is something that you want to look out for. If you do offer services that you have to use an appointment setter for,
Mhm.
make sure that it has a feature that shows their local time, because if you don't, it's a nightmare. I deal with people in other countries even. And so
Mhm.
I really have to make sure that the times are synced.
Yeah.
So I like Appointee. There's some other, you can use Square also.
Mhm.
I still have my US bank accounts. I suggest this to everyone, have at least
Mhm.
two.
Ah.
Have at least two bank accounts so that you have at least two or three different ATM cards in case something
Mhm.
happens, because
Yes.
you don't want to be in another country needing to replace it. Also, sometimes, different banks have different rules about international transactions. So it's
Mhm.
good to be able to transfer money in between.
Mhm.
I have had a bank account here because I know someone's going to ask this.
Yeah.
I've had a bank account here. I found it expensive, cumbersome, and not worth it. I couldn't
Okay.
make online purchases, so it didn't really make any sense.
Okay.
When I transferred the money to purchase the property, I used an escrow account, so there was no need for me to open a bank account here.
Okay. Good.
I still use, everything US based. I use Cashapp and Venmo and
Mhm.
Zelle primarily. I don't even use I don't use any of those other in between, those go between
Mhm.
sites to take payments.
Mhm.
I don't. I check everything before I accept it. I check spiritually. This person, yes, today, tomorrow, whatever. So that's how my system is set up, and it works really well. I have my little
Okay.
office with my crystals and my candles, and I'm good. So
Uh-huh.
it works out really well for me.
Good. And this particular business, like your tarot business, this is something that is new since you've been in Costa Rica, or how long have you been?
Yeah, it.
Okay.
I do spiritual life coaching and
Okay.
intuitive and tarot readings
Okay.
for folks in the relocation. Relocation was first.
Mhm.
I did a couple of interviews talking about relocation. And then I literally had people DM me like, I think something's going on with you spiritually. What else are you into? I didn't
Oh.
promote it. It just kind of grew
Oh.
unknowingly. So the two businesses which seem separate, they're actually together.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, I would not have it any other way. And
Yeah.
then the retreats came, and then, other things are growing out of it. So it really has been an exercise in trusting and finding my gifts. I didn't know that I
Mm.
was a spiritual life coach. I didn't know that
Mm.
I was a teacher in this way. I didn't know these things. But
Well,
removing myself from the system allowed me to get
mhm.
to know myself.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That is something that happens when you leave the U.S. and you leave the pressures, the expectations, the shoe
Yes.
box, right? You
Yes.
don't know who you are. You don't know who you're going to be. One time I was going to Brazil just on a vacation, and going to Bahia, going to Salvador, and my cousin, I
Yeah.
invited her to go. And I was like, Denise, do you want to go with me to Brazil? And she was like, who will I be in Brazil? And I was like, never mind. You can't go. I don't know. I don't know either. But it's absolutely true. You take yourself to a new environment, you can find things about yourself that you would never have found in that old, oppressive,
Oh,
toxic
yes.
environment.
Yes. And let's not forget some of that shadow, some of the stuff. Oh, this hummingbird is literally at the window. I just got confirmation. Um, the shadow, the pain, the
Mhm.
trauma, when you are in a more still environment, when you're not being inundated constantly with just crap, then
Mhm.
suddenly your feelings start to come to the surface. Suddenly
Yeah.
you start realizing that there are things that you really need to deal with that you couldn't deal with where you were.
Mhm.
And so the support, the emotional support, and I'll be honest, of the 15 people that are here, not one of them didn't have a complete emotional breakdown. It's just
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
because you realize what you did, you realize how you were living, even realizing the violence that you were experiencing on
Yeah.
a daily basis
Yeah.
that you now no longer have to. It's just this emotional letdown, it's this spiritual adjustment, and it can be really surprising. So I just want to, if you never speak to me again and nobody hears my voice ever again, I want you to know that that is normal.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, so much that we don't know is normal. We think, oh, something's wrong with me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You when you remove yourself from from that environment, you're gonna have to go through there's some shifts that are gonna have to happen. So much.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I feel like we've done an amazing job. Okay.
I efficient.
I feel like we've done an amazing job. Thank you for those super chats. Let's see. Did I spell it correctly? Oh, the global B in Cash App. Let me go back to my thing. The global
That's
B.
it.
Yeah, but you have to put the dollar sign first, Sahil. Salih. I'm sorry. You have to put the dollar sign first. I just sent.
And you
I
guys
just
can
yeah,
always
that's it.
DM me too. I respond to DMs on Instagram. I
Do you?
do. Like, I'll
Okay.
sit there and, yeah, I respond.
Bless your heart. Don't expect me to do that, y'all. Don't do it. My DMs are in shambles. My whole internet space. So Tosh Patterson is a decluttering coach, and every time I see her, I'm like, Tosh, don't ask me. Okay, my whole internet space is just in shambles. I need not
And
just to declutter. I need to just set it on fire and start over. It's
when I
shambles.
get a good person to do my website, I'll tell you and we'll have them done
Okay,
together, because it's like,
good.
it's a must.
Thank you.
But I'm just
Thank
like,
you.
I'm just doing. I haven't taken the time,
Yeah,
but it's a must. It's a
yeah.
have to. So we have that pact.
The
Okay,
same.
we're gonna get
Okay,
our
all
websites
right.
together. All
Okay, I
right.
agree to that.
But no, I think it was very efficient. I
Good.
super efficient.
All right, good. Okay, so
Yeah.
get your last super chats in, and that is the right cash app. So check it again, Sully. Junquette
Yeah, if not,
says,
DM me. I'll give you my Venmo.
okay,
It's fine. Just
okay.
DM me if it doesn't work. No worries. Cash App can be
Oh,
weird.
okay. Thank you, Waffle Cat Rosanna from Waffle Cat Studio. Speaking of web design, Waffle Cat Studio is a web designer who does beautiful websites.
Okay.
Beautiful,
DM
beautiful.
me.
And
DM me,
Rashida
please.
told me this when you go to her intake form, her client intake form, the last question is a fill in the blank. Blank lives matter. And you have to
Okay.
fill in Black Lives Matter on her intake form before she will take you on as a client. All right. So
That's right.
I do want to talk about this. So we brushed
Good
past your husband
question.
totally. Because I want to talk about the kids. But we brushed past the fact that there's a whole husband involved who is also from California and
Yes,
went to
from
Costa Rica
LA.
with
This was
you.
his first country. This was his first country. He hadn't lived abroad. I actually met him the week I moved back from Brazil. I had been in
Oh.
the country like 3 days when we met. So he was like, "Oh, that's cute. You travel?" There's no more of that. And of course I won, but it was a challenge for him.
Yeah.
He had to acclimate as well. It's just the culture, the language. I speak Portuguese, and so learning Spanish wasn't difficult for me. He's had
Okay.
kind of a learning curve with it, but he
Okay.
acclimated. As far as making friends with the locals, these are not the most warm people ever. Like, just culturally, they're very business casual, right?
Okay.
Everyone is very polite, but they're
Yes.
not the warmest people.
Okay.
And also, to be frank, when I lived in Brazil, I very much so had a warm relationship very close friendships with local people in Bahia.
Okay.
Here, not so much. Not so
Mm.
much. And it wasn't really a super focus. I just decided to import people that I liked. That's what I
Okay.
did. I built my
Okay.
own community. I
Smart.
was like, I'm not. So, and I think that if I had been very focused on building relationships with the local community, I think I would have felt very disappointed. I have a good friend here now who's been here for 25 years. She's Haitian. And she talked about how before I came and all the people that I brought with me, how
Uh-huh.
lonely she was because it's just not a
Um,
warm culture. If
okay.
you're from a warm culture, this would feel very sterile. If you are more standoffish and you're like, we'll have golf every blue moon and we might have a lunch every once in a while, then it's fine. But
Okay.
people here very much so stay to their own families
Okay.
and they don't even really hang out much with their coworkers like that.
Okay.
So
Okay. So that's a difference. That's something that we'd have to. So you're right. Bring in the people who you want to hang out with. Bring your own
that's what
friends.
I did.
BYOF, bring your own friends. Yeah, I visited Costa Rica very, very briefly. For vacation. I'm going to say 2013 or 2014, and
Uh-huh.
two black women traveling together. I had no instances where I felt like, oh, they don't want us here, right? People were friendly
Yeah,
enough,
no.
but not like we didn't meet people who invited us out, like pretty much other places where you go as a group of black women, people invite you to,
Exactly.
to do stuff. It wasn't like that, but
Yeah,
it was.
exactly. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. So Costa Rica, yes, very important to know that the locals are reserved. Yeah. They're very proud of some of their German and other cultural influences, and that might be like a German thing that they've kept.
They're very uh people come to Costa Rica expecting it to be very brown and it's not.
Hmm.
Costa Ricans are Europeans who came here.
Hmm.
So they're not natives. You're not going to see a lot of no. But if you see brown people, they're usually Nicaraguan.
Hmm.
And there's been a large influx of Venezuelans because of
Right.
the disaster going on in their country right
Right.
now. But Costa Ricans are and their food is very like it's not. This isn't. You don't come here for the
No,
food. You
it's not
don't come
Mexican.
here. No, it's not. Okay, the food we cook a lot because the food is just it's
But the
disappointing.
coffee is great. Great
But the
coffee.
coffee is wonderful.
Yes.
The coffee is amazing, okay?
Uh-huh.
And the landscape is beautiful. But this is not where you go for a culinary experience and cultural exchange. No.
Okay. All right. So I think that you guys you should know now. You know now where to go to get more information. You know where to go to book your time. Okay, book your time. Get some time on Marina's calendar. You know how to do that. I think we've nailed it. I did not do a great job of answering your questions in the chat because I had my own questions. I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm
I
sure you
didn't.
covered a lot. And when you post it, I'll go through questions in your comment section and
That's very
answer some
kind.
basic stuff to help.
That's very kind. Good. Okay. So if you're watching the replay, leave your questions. Leave your questions. I never introduced myself. Hi, I'm Stephanie Perry. So we'll be in the comments. Leave your questions there. But seriously, if your questions are a paragraph, right? Just book some time.
Just
Book
book
some
some
time.
time.
If you're like in the process of making some decisions or book some
Yeah.
time. You don't know how helpful it is to get on the phone with somebody, compared to how the DIY method of doing
Oh
things. You don't know how
man.
helpful it is
Oh
until you
yeah.
do it. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I am who I wished I had when I left the
Yes.
first time.
Yes. Wonderful. All right. Okay. Thanks, Nima. I think these are the same. Oh no, Nima's a new super chat. Thanks for that super chat, friends. Okay. So we're gonna see you at the retreat. We'll see you
That's
at the
right.
retreat.
You better come. Maybe we'll do it together.
I'm not
Maybe
committing to that.
you
You've
could.
already committed
No,
me to redoing a website. I'm not committing to doing a retreat. So as a
you
channel,
see me right. You see me right. I'm like,
as a channel, we are going to meet in Turkey, April of 2022, Easter 2022 in Turkey.
oh,
But you're talking March, I think, for your first retreat.
yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
available. But I'm not committing to running things. I am team do as
No, no,
little as
no, 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 no,
possible.
no. No, 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 no. Just to
Okay.
come and
Okay. Just
present.
to
I
come.
had
No.
presenters. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes, I am team do as
I
little as
do all that
possible.
other stuff.
Okay. Okay.
I love event planning. I
Do
love
you?
it.
Oh, good to
Yeah,
know.
I
All
do.
right.
I absolutely love it. So if you ever need any help with anything. Anyway, this has been such a
Got
pleasure.
it. My pleasure too. Okay, thank you so much. I hope you and your family have a wonderful day. And
You
friends, thank you all so
too.
much for joining us. Okay, so okay, thank you. I will send you some more cash via your Cash App a little bit later from the super chat.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see your face in person sometime later.
Yes, it's going to
It
happen.
will
Have
happen.
a
I
good
already
rest of
know.
your day,
You
Stephanie.
too.
Bye.
Bye. All right, thanks, friends. Bye, y'all.